Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you can strum through a song called Honeybee by Seahaven. And we're going to end up cabling this on 2nd fret to match the recording board. Start on a C major chord. When we play C major, first finger goes to the B on the 1st fret, second finger on the D string 2nd fret, third finger on the A string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And then from the C major, we're going to go into a G major chord. When we play G major, first finger goes to the A on the 2nd fret, second finger on the low E string on the 3rd fret, and third finger on the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. Now you might also want to think about taking the 3rd finger and going to the B string 3rd fret, pinky on the high E string 3rd fret, and that's another way you could play your G major. And you'll hear where the bass line actually through that first part goes to an A string actually. That's something called G/B, or G major with A in the bass, or B in the bass, where you play it on the A string. And then from the G/B, we go to an F major chord. There's a couple ways you may want to play the F through the song. You could do first finger across the entire 1st fret. I'll talk about an easier way to play this too. But then you put second on the G string 2nd, third finger on the A string 3rd, and the pinky on the D string 3rd. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an F major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. And a good substitute for that, though, can be F major 7. When you play F major 7, first finger goes to the B string 1st fret, second finger on the G string 2nd fret, and third finger on the D string 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds an F major 7. It sounds really, really happy. And then from the F, we're going to be going to back to the G major chord on our verse part. Now, a lot of times with a song like this, to make it more interesting, I like adding something called a strum pattern. And one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, up, down, up. So we took the C and just tried that a lot. You'd have down, up, up, down, up, down. Through our verse, we'd have C down, up, down, up, G/B down, up, down, up, F down, up, down, up, G down, up, down, up, C down, up, down, up, G down, up, down, up, F down, up, down, up, G down, up, down, up. Now you'll also hear through the song though where sometimes it's kind of a down, down, up, where you'd have C with a down, down, up, down, G down. Sometimes that kind of becomes a little waiting move, where you may want to do kind of just the up down up, kind of. So you could do the C with the down down up down G up down, and kind of ride it out on the ups. F down up down G down up down. So you want to kind of play around with kind of those up strokes. Sometimes you'll also kind of hear where instead of playing the whole chord, there are little arpeggios or broken pieces of the chords. You know, kind of experiment with that idea too. So a lot of different ways to kind of approach the tune, kind of make it your own too. So you might want to kind of experiment with playing individual notes too. And then we'll basically be repeating that until we get to our chorus part. And on our chorus, we start on F major, and then we go to G major, and then we go to the C major, and then G/B. Then we go to an A minor chord. When we play A minor, first finger goes to the B on the 1st fret, second finger on the D string on the 2nd fret, third finger on the G string on the 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an A minor chord, and it sounds really, really sad. And then from the A minor, we go back to our F major, and then back to our G. So we tried that with kind of the variations of the strum pattern. You'd have kind of play around with that through the song. And then from there, we go to our chorus tag, where we start on C major, but then we go to an E minor chord. When we play E minor, first finger goes to A on the 2nd fret, second finger on the D string 2nd fret, and if you strum all those together, that sounds an E minor chord, and it sounds really, really sad. And then from the E minor on the chorus tag, we go back to the A minor chord, kind of song. Now the weird part is, to play along with Seahaven, instead of starting on a C chord, we're starting on a D major chord. So to play along with the recording, what you want to do is take a capo, and if you put the capo on 2nd fret, then now your C is really a D major chord, your G/B or G major chord is really an A major chord, or an A/C sharp, and then your F major is really a G major chord, your A minor is really a B minor chord, and your E minor is really an F sharp minor chord. But to take it from the very beginning, actually, you may want to do a couple of those C's just kind of up front, kind of from the intro. And then from there, then we go into our verse part. So we'd have our C, G, F, G, C, G, F, G, C, into our chorus part. So we have our F, G, C, G/B, A minor, G. Or you might want to do those arpeggios and kind of mix it up other ways. And then from there, then we'll be going into our chorus tag. So we have our C, E minor, A minor, A minor, C, E minor, A minor, A minor. And then from there, then we'll be going into our next verse. Something else I think about adding to the song, though, is bass notes. And a lot of times you can turn that down, down, up, into a bass down, up, down. And on the C, you have the A for your bass. On the G/B, you'd have the A for the bass. Or if you want to do on the G chord, you can do the low E string for the bass. And on the F bar, you'd have the low E for your bass. On the F major 7, you'd have the D for the bass. On the A minor, you'd have the A for the bass. And on the E minor, you'd have the low E for the bass. So we try that next verse adding bass notes. We'd have C with an A bass, G/B with an A bass, F bass, down, G, C, G, F, G, C, G, low bass, F bass, down, G, low bass, C with an A bass, G with low bass, F bass, there, then we'd be going into our chorus parts. We tried adding basses to our chorus. We'd have the F, low bass, C with an A bass, G/B with an A bass, A minor with an A bass, C minor with an A bass, G low bass, and then that big G. And then from there, then we'd be going back into our chorus tag. So we tried our chorus tag with basses. We'd have C with an A bass, E minor with low E bass, A minor with an A bass, A minor with an A bass, C with an A bass, E minor with low E bass, A minor with an A bass, A minor with an A bass. And then from there, then we'd be going into our bridge part. So you could really take all those different ideas that we're talking about, just try and mix them up. Around those chords too, that can be kind of a cool thing to kind of try and make that the song your own too. And actually there is that cool little G lick that kind of gets thrown in on the tune. And a couple places where on the G chord, when you get to it, you can kind of take the E string and the B string on the 3rd fret and then kind of try a slide from what's really 5th fret to 7th fret, but you're thinking 3rd fret to 5th fret slide, and I'm kind of taping both of those fingers together. So you might want to kind of play around with that on the G chord. And then at the end of our bridge, actually, after that last time of the then we kind of have this big stop top on the G chord. You might want to kind of try and do arpeggios. And then we go into our last chorus, and you might want to play around with that same idea, actually doing some of the strumming, maybe doing some of the downs, or trying to arpeggio around the chord or broken chord, kind of breaking it up with individual notes. And then C, D/B, A minor, G, kind of a big G. And then at the very end, we kind of play 2 C's. And you might want to kind of kill it, make people clap. But that's the basics of how you can strum through Honeybee by Seahaven. So good luck!